Alrighty, here we go. Ball up top, episode 5. Hunter and I decided to hop on here and do a little Auburn preview that we're going to call the heat check. We're going to try and do this, in between our regular cadence of our ball up top episodes to kind of hit on some recent games that Auburn has played in, especially early on in this year, coming off of the Players Era tournament. Moved up in the AP poll this week to number 20 and finished 2-1 in that tournament. Hunter, you want to kick us off with that first game, Oregon?
Yeah, well, and before we get into Auburn's game specifically, can I just take this opportunity to say what a
Absolutely, yeah.
god awful organized event the Players Era Festival is? I mean, this is your premier Thanksgiving week tournament at this point. I think it was pretty evident by the field compared to what we saw from, Maui and Atlantis and some of the other events going on. And this is the dumbest format that I've ever seen. You have 18 teams, you have two divisions that are unequal. One has 10 teams, one has 8 teams. You're playing off of point differential, which makes absolutely no sense to me because you have some teams that play two unranked teams. You have Auburn who played Oregon and Michigan, or like Tennessee went 2-0, beat the hell out of Rutgers, played, a
Houston.
very good Houston team who was
Yeah.
supposed to be the perceived best team in the event, and they played in the third place game. They didn't even get a chance to play for a championship. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And if this is going to be sort of that premier Thanksgiving feast week event going forward, they've got to fix this. I mean, the fan turnout was terrible. Um, People have no idea, I guess, when they're. I mean, the first two matchups were predetermined, but then that third game is like based on I don't know who outscores who by more. And I think it's a ridiculous format. Cut it back to 16 teams. Do 4 days. Everybody, you advance all the way. You play 4 games Monday through Thursday. Rank them out ahead of time and just do a bracket. Is that hard?
I'm
I don't
with
think
you.
so.
I mean, put the NIL pool in the Maui. I like something about the parquet floors, the high school gym,
Oh
the
yeah,
the midnight games.
yeah. I actually had a conversation about that last week with a friend of the program, Andrew Melms. He went out to Maui last year when Auburn played out there, and he said it's like a basketball fan's dream. Just the tiny 2,000 seat arena. Everybody's right there on the floor. But yeah, I mean that's the unfortunate thing is you're going to see tournaments like Maui and Atlantis and some of these other ones that we've traditionally known on Thanksgiving week kind of fall, fade into the abyss because of the NIL aspect of the Players Era tournament. And again, the field was awesome. Like, and the games were awesome. Like the games
Yeah,
were highly competitive, at least among kind of you know,
unless you played
the
Michigan.
upper echelon. Yeah, unless you
Yeah.
played Michigan, who credit to them, and we'll talk more about them. But um, the matchups I thought were great, but the format and the fan turnout was god awful. So it's got to be fixed going forward. Just my opinion. But anyway, off my soapbox there to get into game one. Auburn played Oregon on Monday night, won 84-73. Tahad Pettiford was your leading scorer, which huge week for him. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it goes back to exactly what we said on last Sunday's episode. This team is going to go as Tahad Pettiford goes. I know Keyshawn Hall's in the fold, and great to see that he was able to, come out, start the first game, stay relatively healthy the whole time through. But the two wins that Auburn picked up in Vegas are highly attributed to Todd Pettiford and what he did as a scorer and a facilitator.
The
Um,
brighter the lights, the better he plays. I mean, that's
no
been
doubt.
super consistent throughout his career.
Yeah, no doubt. And, we're fortunate that a lot of the, smaller caliber teams we're going to play at home. We're probably going to be able to handle them fairly. I mean, I know we played, Bethune Cookman that first game was a pretty close call, but for the most part, like we don't need him to go out and score 27 every night. Um, But man, yeah, he just turns it on when the lights were bright, and as good as this game was, the St. John's game was probably even better, which we'll get to here shortly. But Tahad led in scoring. Keyshawn Hall poured in another 18 in this game. Not a not a crazy efficient shooting performance in this game. I mean, we shot 22% from three. Philip Jovic had another nice game.
Yep.
He's continuing to come along, even though I think he was someone both of us were like, where does he fit in here? What's his role?
Yeah.
Um, nice game for him in that Oregon game. It was tied at halftime and really was fairly close, down to about maybe roughly 10 minutes left in the game, and we kind of went on a little run and were able to fend them off. But yeah, I think this was a game that we felt like we had a much better chance to win than the Michigan game going into it. And I think, quite honestly, it played out fairly similar to what I expected. I mean,
Yeah.
Oregon's got some talent with Shellstead and Biddle. Jackson Shellstead did not have a good game. I think he was 1 for 11 from three, 4 for 17 from the field. That's bad.
Yeah.
Um, but again, that's an experienced Oregon team, a perennial tournament team. Wouldn't be surprised if they kind of bounce back and end up making the tournament come March. So definitely can't discredit this win. But I don't know what thoughts did you have as far as that first game
Uh,
went?
yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't mean to discredit the win, like you just said. This Oregon team has not looked good, and they did not look good at all in that game.
Yeah,
They're 4-3 now. They've struggled to get up off the mat. We shot 22% from three, won the game by double digits. We were out rebounded by 12, won the game by double digits. We shot 61% from the free throw line, won the game by double digits. I felt a lot of times we could have ran them out of the gym, and we didn't really. That being said, we dominated the turnover battle. We only had six, they had 18. Um, and while Biddle out rebounded us, he didn't score all that much. I didn't think he was as big of an X factor as maybe we highlighted before the game. He's also got a brutal hairline.
man.
He's got to do something about it. He's got to shave it off, throw on a yarmulke, something, cover that little bald spot up top. Um,
Yeah, it's a tough look.
but a win's a win. Like you said, they are a well coached team with some returning players. And we won by double digits. We got out in transition very well.
Mm.
I know there's that metric, the kill shot. I can't imagine we did very well in that metric that game. Again, felt like there were a lot of opportunities to put them away, and we didn't. But yeah, Hod looked great. Jovic was efficient, and Hall battled through injury. I thought that was great. Overton struggled this game badly. He was 3 for
Yeah,
10. Um, Looked like he tried to force it a couple of times, but it is what it is. He's a better defending guard than I'll give him credit for, I feel like, on this podcast. But a win's a win. It was a good way to start 1-0. Then we head to Michigan. I was feeling pretty confident that we looked bad and got a win against Oregon, but going to Michigan and we get pounced by 30. Um, I mean, this is the biggest blowout I can remember watching Auburn basketball since that 2018 like second round game against Clemson.
yeah, yeah. I was looking into that myself, and we do you remember? So it was the Broom's first year, so before Denver and CBM and some of those guys got there. I think that would have been 2023,
Yeah,
22-23
yeah.
season. We went to Rupp like late in the season, and I think we
Oh,
got like we got beat by like 35, and that was like Oscar Shibwe and those guys. But yeah, I kind of looked at that too. I was like, when's the last time we got beat this bad? And I think that was the most recent one I could find. But yeah, man, I mean, there's no way around it. It was
it was
just
bad. Yeah,
dominance from Michigan.
and
I think. Go ahead.
not to like belittle Michigan or give Auburn more credit than they deserve because it was night and day the difference between the two teams. This format, like you're gonna have off nights and you're gonna have on nights, and this format with the point differential, like a lot of teams when you're up 20, okay, let's go to the bench, let's try some new rotations out, like not take the foot off the gas, but inherently take the foot off of the gas. This
Yeah,
format like accelerate, like let's just keep bodying this team. And Michigan was on fire and Auburn was terrible. There's Michigan looks great, but there's no way I believe that they're 30 points better than us. And if you want to take a moral victory out of this game, we lost by less than Gonzaga. So I'm a big distributed property guy. Does that make us better than Gonzaga? Who knows?
yeah. I mean, again, full credit to Michigan. They were an absolute buzzsaw in this event. But I'm with you. I don't think they're. I think they've submitted themselves as one of the three or four best teams in the country. I think that's hard to argue at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. And we
At
all as a
least,
podcast always thought that.
yeah, right. Yeah, we definitely a week ago said that Michigan could win the national title. We absolutely said that. Um, but yeah, man, and really from start to finish, like it very quickly into this game, it felt over. I mean, it was over by halftime, quite frankly. And what's crazy is like as hot as they felt, like when I was thinking about this game, I was like, God, they were just on fire, especially from three. We actually outshot them from three. I
Yep.
mean, they made more threes, but we shot 42% from three. They shot 40%. Again, 55% from the free throw line. That seems to be a recurring theme. And it's gotten us in trouble before, and it's probably going to get us in trouble again, unfortunately. But 35% from the field is what's really bad.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Yaxel Lindeberg, Perez Johnson Jr., Namari Burnett, these guys just they had their way the whole night. Um, and they were
Three
just
assists. Three.
that's
I
bad
have never seen a team like a ranked team, a decent team, play an entire 40-minute game and finish with three assists. I mean, it was so much ISO ball, just drive and try to get fouled or jack up a three. And like you said, I mean, we shot 42% from three and we got to the line a lot. But that was all our offense. We couldn't run anything.
Yeah, and you and I talked about this a little bit after the game. Still struggling a little bit to see what the offensive identity is going to be for this team. Like, I think the games that we've won have been just get out of the way and let Tahad cook, or get out of the way and let Keyshawn cook. There's just still not a ton of flow to the offense. All the flex cuts and stuff that Bruce used to do, and we'd run so well. And I get you don't have Janai Broom hanging out down there, but it feels so much more like watching a pickup game a lot of the time with this Auburn team, and that to me was extremely evident in this Michigan game.
Yeah. I agree with you. I will say, and this is a good transition into game number three. Very curious to see how you bounce back. I mean, especially you're on the road, you're sleeping in a hotel. You don't have a lot of time between games. How do you get up off the mat? And in game three, you run into St. John's team that was very highly touted and ranked early on in
For
the
sure.
the preseason. And you come out and you beat them 85-74 relatively convincingly. And I'm not going to lie, we got up 8 in the first half, and I was shocked. I was like, this is great. We're getting to see a little resilience from Auburn. And then they end on a 21-4 run, and we're down 9.5. And I was quickly brought back to earth. And then they proved me wrong again. They bounce back in the second half and win the second half by 20, and we win the game by 11. Hod took over 27 points, three threes, shot over 50% from the field. Then you got a pesky 20 points from Hall. And we actually out rebounded them by three. So, I mean, all in all, a very high pace, up tempo game that we got the better of a good team. And I thought Stephen did a great job of getting the boys, back in the fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think to look at that score, to your point, started out hot. They went on a run to end the half. You go into halftime down 9, a night after you just got your ass handed to you by Michigan. Um, I was like, this is done. It's over. On to next week. And I was thoroughly impressed with how they played in the second half. Again, it goes back to we've talked about, like, Stephen Pearl has said they're not showing up to these games hoping to just be competitive and say, oh, we it's a rebuilding year. We lost everyone from last year. We're just, we're scheduling these highly touted games. We're just hoping to show up and be competitive. He expects to win every single one of these games they step on the floor in. And I think that mentality showed in the second half. I don't know what he said to him at halftime. I'm sure it was a nice, calm, gentle talking to. But yeah, man, I mean, you can't say enough about Tahad Pettiford in the second half of this game. And again, Michigan game, absolutely no excuse for it. That was unacceptable. That's not the brand of basketball that we want to see. But to see these guys come back, especially after being down 9 at halftime, um, and outscoring by 20 in the second half, I mean, they whooped them in the second half. And so, all the credit to Stephen Pearl, to Hod Pettiford, you know, held them in check offensively for the most part. I mean, Ejiofor kind of got his, but he made 11 free throws of his 24 points. 11 of them came from the free throw line. So, um, they shot 28% from three, 38% from the field. I feel like we did a really good job kind of later in this game of kind of disrupting some of their shots and some of the things they wanted to do on offense. Um, and we're able to end the tournament on a really high note. And I think all things considered, if you told us going in, hey, you go 2-1 and come out with a ranked win, we'd take it. And again, Michigan game, not okay, not acceptable, got whooped, but big time bounce back in this St. John's game by this team
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree. I mean, I wrote down some call outs, like a couple of reasons why through 8 games you're pumped as an Auburn fan this year, and a couple call outs for why maybe you shouldn't. For me, I am optimistic about this team. Again, like you just said, we took 2 out of 3 in the players era. We're 6-2 through 8 games with a relatively insane start as far as good teams and talented teams that you're playing. Um, we appear to be forming some resilience and some bounce back games that it's not that we didn't see it last year, but we didn't really have to see it last year. So it's nice to
Yeah,
see, you get hit in the mouth and come back and win a game, or be down double digits and win a game. I remember, again, up until last year, a lot of Auburn teams were big comeback teams. And so it's nice. It's nice to see that. Now, if you're negative on Auburn, here's what I would call out. You open the year, you beat Bethune by 5. That Bethune team, we thought, oh, maybe they're a little better than we thought. They've got blown out by Dayton, Miami, and Indiana
yeah,
since then.
yeah.
You took a moral victory, or at least we claimed it, that losing to Houston by 1. With all due respect to Houston, they have not looked as good as advertised, at least early in the season. A couple
I
losses, a
agree.
couple of close wins. Oregon to me is 4-3. They're a lot worse than I thought they would be. The obvious, you got 30 piece by Michigan. And then you beat St. John's, who was also at a slow start. And they're a bad rebounding team. I know I called out that we out rebounded them by 3. They're the worst rebounded team who is ranked in the top 25. And we barely beat
Interesting.
them by 3. So the cause for concern at the beginning of the year might have been rebounding, and if we go through all those games, we got out rebounded in 2 of them, and the one team we beat, we barely beat them, and they're not that good at rebounding. Um, Again, so take that as you may. I didn't mean to make that negative, but there are a couple good things that you could get excited about, but you could also look back and be like, okay, like maybe some of these teams we played, maybe the way we're beating them isn't necessarily sustainable, or those wins aren't as big.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, I think that's a concern that we've voiced over and over is we know that in a lot of these matchups, and specifically against bigger teams like an Oregon, a Michigan, and I mean probably St. John's too, like that's going to be a challenge. Like it's going to be tough to, you've got to get in there, box people out, and kind of get after it because you're undersized, and
Yeah.
that teams with more length are going to, be more likely to out rebound you. And so, yeah, I think that's always just going to be kind of a theme, just given the makeup of this roster. And one thing I will say we didn't talk about, no Philip Jovic in the St. John's game, and
Yeah.
Keyshawn Murphy got into foul trouble fairly early and had to you know, miss a decent. I mean, he only played what? He played 9 minutes
Yeah.
in this game. Excuse me. No, he didn't. He played 22 minutes. That was like, that's not right. He scored 9 points. He played 22 minutes, which again, every other starter played 35 plus. So, um, to already be a little bit shorthanded in the size department, and then, be down Jovic and have Murphy have to, sit out a portion of the second half due to foul trouble. Um, I guess you could take that with a little bit of grain of salt. That we really probably could have out rebounded them by 7 or 8 more.
Yeah.
Um, but again, an impressive win nonetheless. I know St. John's isn't really what probably they were touted to be in the preseason. I think they were like number 5 to start the year. Um, but a tough Rick Pitino team coming off a brutal loss, down 9 at halftime, and Todd Pettiford stepped up. Keyshawn Hall kept him in the game, and they did what they had to do to win. So, um, all in all, I think good takeaways from the players era. I think you take that Michigan loss, learn from it, and flush it, forget about it. Again, they did the same thing to Gonzaga. So, um, solid week overall, going 2-1, and quite unfortunately, the road does not get easier as we have 2 ranked matchups this week.
Yeah.
You got NC State in the ACC SEC Challenge, and then the what's becoming sort of legend around here, the December 6th slate that I have no idea why it's as loaded as it is, but it's going to be freaking awesome. And I'll say this too: if you're a college basketball fan who doesn't start paying attention until football's over, I feel sorry for you because these last few weeks of non-conference matchups and what this week is about to be, you're missing out big time if you're not paying attention to what's going on around the sport. I don't know what else you have to do on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. Got big games this week. Throw them on the TV. But yeah, that said, 2 huge games this week and another opportunity to make some noise and potentially bolster your resume, with NC State at home Wednesday and then Arizona at Arizona late Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern
Ooh,
tip. Um, the fellas will be rocking and rolling by then. But
without a doubt.
so I guess segueing into that, like initial thoughts. What do you feel like you want to see? What does Auburn need to do to to be competitive in these games and maybe pull off an upset specifically with the Arizona game?
Yeah. So NC State, obviously another team that was, relatively highly talked about in the preseason with Will Wade returning to a bigger program coming from McNeese, bringing some of his star players, guard Holloman from Michigan State. God, I'm blanking on his name. He's a guy from Texas Tech.
Darian
He's
Williams,
Darren, and he's been great this
stud,
year.
stud.
That being said, and maybe they'll gel as the season goes on. Similar to Oregon, similar to St. John, similar to Kentucky. Like they have not looked all that good. They lost in the fifth place consolation game this weekend to Texas, as well as Seton Hall in the Maui. I would put us well above those two teams. I expect this game to be like a very physical, fast-paced game, but I've said multiple times that game is what I think this Auburn's identity is. Get out in transition, run, don't be standing under the basket, allow some long rebounds. Um, I think winning the turnover battle is going to dictate that game entirely. And this is really early, but I'm going to stamp this as if you're an Auburn fan, you're trying to get into this team, you think this team's going to be good. This is a must win. You're at home, you're the better team. Again, your schedule's loaded, so you don't have a lot of games where you can lose. I would really, really like to win this one. I'm going to stamp this as a must win for Auburn.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think if we're being real, you look at Purdue and Arizona still remaining on the non-con schedule. Those are going to be really tough games to win, both away from home. And you're talking then about potentially being at 4 losses going into SEC play. So I'm with you. This is a huge one. It's at home. Will Wade's a great coach. Darion Williams, maybe the best player in the ACC, not named Cam Boozer. Can score at all 3 levels. He was highly efficient for Texas Tech last year. They've got, I don't know if you remember this name, Vin Allen Lubin, who's from UNC. He was actually a portal target for Auburn. Um,
Yeah. And what?
what's
Like
happening?
nothing. I remember him.
Why is there music playing? Oh my gosh. Sorry.
No, I
I,
can't hear anything.
dude, no, I don't know if that'll come through. I guess I was looking at some stuff on ESPN, and I guess one of the little videos on the side started playing, and I'm like, where's this music coming from? Started blasting in my headphones. Anyway, yes, Ben Allen Lubin was a portal target from UNC. I think, I was looking, he's had a couple nice games, and even led the team in scoring a couple times. Um, not going to be an easy matchup by any means, but to your point, absolutely must win game. It's on your home floor. Um, you know, I think I think there are still reasons to believe that this team can be competitive in March and um, you know play with some of the top dogs. And so for that reason, I think you've got to win a game like this. Even just from a momentum standpoint too, like you've had a week off, you've got two ranked games coming up this week. How do they look and kind of respond after
Yeah.
a emotional loss at Michigan, and then you come back, bounce back against St. John's, get a really feel good win there. Um, so I'm with you on that, but no easy task, and hopefully the jungle will be rowdy and ready to go for that one. And then talking about Arizona, it's a tough matchup for us. I mean, I think just their resume, but then also kind of the makeup of their roster and who they've been to this point. Like Koa Pete has been extremely good. Jaden Bradley's been extremely good. And like looking at their numbers, they don't even play like Arizona's deep, man. I mean, they got 8 guys that are all averaging over 17 minutes a game, and not one of them's averaging more than 27. So almost kind of feels a little bit how, some of the minutes shook out with like some of those Bruce teams, where you had, a lot of guys that you were rotating in and out. Nobody's playing 30 minutes a game, but, for Koa Pete and Jane Bradley to be doing what they're doing, playing less than 30 minutes a game is even more impressive. Toby Awaka is an extremely good rebounder. Again, back to some of the struggles there. Um, he's averaging over 10 rebounds a game. Um, it's a matchup I don't like on paper for Auburn. And then you talk about going out to Arizona. Um, McKale Center's as good an atmosphere as there is in college basketball, and um, I'm not ready to just chalk it up as a loss, but I do think this is a really tough matchup for Auburn. But again, when the lights are bright, man, Todd Pettiford seems to show up, and they're going to need him Saturday night.
Yeah. No, I mean, what you said was great. I'm gonna get on my soapbox here about
Please do.
Arizona and kind of the way the media has flipped from them being whatever ranked 20 and then already jumping up to 2. Do they deserve it? Maybe. Um, I think this Arizona team is remarkably efficient. I think they play solid team defense and they're great at rebounding, and that's a concern for Auburn. That being said, I'll come out and say, has Arizona peaked too early? They can't and don't shoot the three. They don't get a ton of scoring from their guards outside of Jaden Bradley. They rely a lot on their 3, 4, and 5 to get some boards and bully ball down low. Their wins, yeah, UConn, that's a great win. It's tough to belittle that one, but they
No
beat.
Terrace Reed for UConn though.
Yeah,
Worth
true.
noting.
Exactly. Yeah. And okay, there you go. There's the shakiness in that one. Bear they beat a 2-loss, shaky and still appearing to gel Florida team that was ranked number 1, and people freaked out about, like, that's a huge win for Arizona. It's a good win for sure, but Florida by no means has looked the part of a number 1 team in the country. Then their next ranked win was UCLA, who already has multiple losses.
I don't think
Um,
they haven't been very good.
yeah, they barely won a bunch of games. They lost to Cal. Yeah, so I don't think that UCLA team's very good. I don't think that Florida team's very good. They beat a UConn team that's identity is with a big man, and their star big man was out. That being said, they do mismatch against us, but I think maybe us, the media, I think people are jumping on Arizona a little too quick. It's tough to denounce their resume up until this point, but I do think they're a little areas in their resume where you could poke some holes. And I'm curious to see. And I wouldn't be surprised if we came out and if we dictate the pace. I think we can win this game, and I think we can win it convincingly. I'm going to come out and give us a 6 point victory in Arizona.
Ooh, come on now.
I've
I
been down
like
on
it.
this Auburn team too, but I think
I like
like
it, man.
this is a clash of styles, so to say, and I think that we have the potential with Tahad playing well if he can contain Bradley, and it just doesn't turn into a one shot possession every time, and we can get out in transition. I don't see why we can't dictate the pace of this game.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point too. There on, I mean, Todd or Overton, if you've got one of those guys to not, not shut down Jaden Bradley, but kind of slow him, maybe get him out of his rhythm a little bit. Um, I think that tips the scales in your favors a little bit. I still, the size matchup is concerning. Obviously, the fact that we're playing at Arizona is concerning. Um, but that's a great point. I mean, like Florida has not looked the part of who a lot of people thought they were going to be. UCLA has been pretty rough offensively, through their first 7 or 8 games. And then, you beat a really good UConn team, but without Terrace Reed, who's their leading scorer and their best, top big man. So I like the prediction though. I'm not counting it out. I think Auburn very well could go out there and win this game. Um, I think I like this matchup better than I do the Purdue matchup.
For sure.
Um, I think, when you're talking about could Auburn steal one of these two games against the top two teams in the country, I would say this one's more likely, even though they're both away from home, but Purdue's kind of a pseudo road game. Um, Interesting note too, like Arizona, it's kind of funny. Arizona plays Auburn and Alabama back to back. They don't play Alabama till next Saturday, but I just thought that was kind of funny looking at their schedule, that they play Auburn and Alabama back to back. I don't know where that Bama game's at. I want to say it's in Birmingham, but um,
If you go
I
two
like
and zero
it.
this week and you're 8-2, you change the floor and ceiling of this Auburn team. I know we had said Sweet 16 with the floor of missing the tournament. I think if we're 8-2, I might bump that up to Elite Eight, and I don't think we miss the tournament if you start like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And like, when you talk ceiling, you're not saying that's what's
Gonna
most
happen.
likely or what's going to
Yeah,
happen. It's what they're capable of. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, man, if you go out, take care of NC State at home, go out to Arizona and get a win out there, I think it absolutely in your mind raises the ceiling of what this team is capable of. And again, that's not a saying that they're going to make the Elite Eight, but I think you feel a little bit better about how far this team is capable of advancing in March. And I'll just say too, like I feel better already about our chances to win the SEC. And that's not so much because of what Auburn's done. It's more kind of about where I think the league is at. I don't think there's really a clear cut best team right now. I mean, Tennessee looked pretty good, but they dropped one to a Darren Peterson-less Kansas. Um, Alabama is what they are. They're always going to be a little bit volatile. They could, beat the hell out of somebody one night and then turn around and lose to a much lesser team the next night. It's just kind of comes with the territory with the style they play. If shots aren't falling, they can lose to anyone just as well as they can beat anyone. So I think the SEC really as a whole is up for grabs. And obviously Florida's not quite been as impressive as what a lot of people thought they would be.
we got a
I
pesky
mean,
Vanderbilt team. I know
yeah,
you've called
man,
it out.
shoot. I mean, Vandy is, and they haven't really like. I was trying to go back and look and see. I was actually looking at this earlier today, who their best win was. They haven't played anyone super strong. So you kind of look at it and you're like, all right, if Vandy had played Bama or Auburn's schedule, what would their record be? But they're a good team. They can shoot and they've got a little bit of size too. So could be one to look out for. But yeah, I mean, I think the SEC is wide open for the taking right now, and I think Auburn is every bit as capable of winning it as some of those other teams. Kentucky, we didn't even talk about. They've had sort of a rocky start, and you you kind of assume that with the talent they have, they'll kind of continue to mesh together and get better as the season goes on. Jaden Quainance comes back at some point. Um, But I don't see. There's no team that I look at in the SEC right now, and I'm like, they're the clear cut kind of runaway favorite right now. So
You got a
I
weapon in
think,
your back pocket too, and we haven't really talked about this. And actually, our other co-host Josh Sieb kind of hit on it with Indiana up until this point. I mean, when you're playing games in the jungle in SEC play, good luck. I mean, that
yeah,
has proven. I mean, I'm seeing on all these social media pages and posts, the jungle is anywhere from top 5 to top 10 place to play. Like the fact that that is occurring at Auburn University should say something. It's a small environment, but it is loud. And good luck playing
it's
there.
packed in. It's packed
Yeah,
in tight.
yeah,
We've been to plenty of games there and can attest to how loud it gets for only being a 9,000 and some change capacity arena, and that's absolutely a weapon because you see all the time in this sport where teams go on the road and lose to teams they shouldn't. It's really hard to win on the road in college basketball, especially in conference. And I think that's that's every bit an advantage as a player on your team. And I was just looking. I know Florida came in last year, so we don't get them at home this year. We don't get Tennessee at home this year. I don't think we do get Kentucky at home. We do get Vandy at home. So you got to go to Tennessee, to Arkansas,
oof.
split with Alabama. We actually have two with Arkansas, so they come here early in January, and then we go there later in the year. But um, yeah, I mean, it's again, I think the SEC is wide open for the taking right now, and I think if Auburn can continue to find some identity offensively, like you mentioned, dictate the pace in games. Um, that's going to be ultimately how they can compete. And I could see the winner of the SEC this year having five or six. I could see them being 13-5 or 12-6 easily.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of parity. I don't think there's eight. Were there eight Sweet 16 teams last year?
I think so.
Obviously, they broke the record for most teams in the tournament. I don't that ain't happening, and I don't think there's eight Sweet 16 caliber teams in the league for sure. Um, so I think it's come back to earth a little bit, and again, maybe not so much a testament to Auburn and what they've done thus far as it is just I think the league's wide open for the taking.
I agree. Don't be surprised if you get, like you said, it's not as top heavy, but don't be surprised if you get a 7 seeded SEC team playing an Elite Eight. Like this is a
Yeah.
league.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily have a team like that, pick off a 2 seed in the round of 32 and move on. It's not to say they're not dangerous. I don't think it's the top end to me has come down a little bit.
I agree. All right, before we wrap up, just wanted to throw this little segment out here. We do it in some of our group chats with our Auburn buddies every year. But if you could take a player from the Bruce Pearl era and plug them in on this current Auburn basketball team, and you're picking the player that you think with the team that we got now would take us to the highest possible ceiling, who would you pick?
I mean, how do you not say Janai Broom? Obviously,
Yeah,
I think one just in terms of needing another big man, a guy that can defend and inside, rebound, score at will. I think he also like what my favorite thing about Broom that I don't think enough people talked about was his vision and his like as a passer. I think you could do so much in this offense if you had that guy in the middle that can come up to the high post, get the ball, and has the vision to catch a guy cutting or something like that. That was one thing Broom did so well that I think you don't really have with a big
for sure.
man on this team. Um, but another one that maybe slightly less obvious that I was kind of thinking about the other day, actually, and again, not going back too far, is Dylan Cardwell, and I think that's due to the fact that this is more of a up tempo run and gun team. You talk about a athletic big that can run the floor, run transition, catch lobs, elite defensively, great rebounder. Wouldn't help you in the free throw department very much. He had about as ugly a free throw shot as there was.
Yeah,
Um, but to go to somebody less obvious that's not Jabari Smith or Janai Broom, I think Dylan Cardwell and the way that he played and what he brought to the table on the defensive end, I think he'd be a great piece on this team as an athletic big man.
I like those answers. I'm going to stick kind of in your realm and go with another big man. Being a Woodward Academy graduate, I'm going to take a Woodward Academy alum and go with Walker Kessler. I mean, again,
Yeah,
just seeing that, interior defense rebounding appears to be a weakness of this team. That guy is a elite rebounder and maybe the best interior defender that we have seen down there outside of Cardwell in Bruce Pearl's entire tenure. He also runs the floor well, which I would say would be maybe a knock on Broom. This team plays their best when they're in transition. And I think Walker could get up and down the floor a little bit better. And hell, he shot
yeah,
81% from the free throw line, too. Maybe fill another void. I'd probably go Walker.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you could go to some of the higher end elite like elite 3-point shooters because I think that's lacking a little bit of Bryce Brown, a Miles Kelly. Because I do think we could be a little bit more efficient from three. Keyshawn Hall has actually been kind of a pleasant surprise in that regard. I think he's shooting close to like 40% from three on a decent volume. Um, but Tahat hasn't shot it great. Freeman is just over 30%. Overton, I like every time Overton shoots a three, I hold my breath because that brick is going to half court.
Yeah.
He's a great slasher, great, pretty solid finisher at the rim. He's got an ugly looking 3-point shot, and I don't know what his numbers are, but it seems like he is not a very good 3-point shooter. So, somebody in the realm of like a Bryce Brown, Miles Kelly could also be a good option. But
Yeah.
plenty of studs from BP's teams that you could throw on that would help this team out.
Without a doubt. Well, that's all I got for you, Hunter. Is there anything else you want to hit on before we sign off and kick off this loaded week of basketball?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, big week ahead. Happy to get out of Vegas going 2-1, even if one of them was a 30-point smackdown. Two big games this week, and then you got turnaround. You got Chattanooga, Purdue, Queens, and then it's on to SEC play. It'll be here before we know it. So, yeah, man, if you can take care of NC State and then steal one of the Arizona Purdue games, I'll take three non-con losses all day.
Yep.
But yeah, exciting times ahead. I think they're getting better. I think they're still learning how to play with each other, kind of learning what everybody's role is, learning some of the rotations and how that all shakes out over the course of the game. But um, yeah, man, big week ahead that I think will just tell us even more about this team and what they're capable of.
Yep, I'm with you. So everyone, please like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify. Follow us on Instagram. We're still trying to build the socials out and hope to have some new content, maybe some more reels for you guys coming up, especially in these off weeks. But appreciate you guys for listening, and let's take care of business this week.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right.